All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let us know that the chat's working. We're going to kick off this morning with a little chat on the vault. So if you've got any vault questions, then be sure to fire them in. Remember that every time we do a vault update, we put that into the vault coaching group as well. So you can keep what's the word I'm trying to think of? Just like a linear timeline of how things are unfolding. If you go back to the vault, you listen to the original instructions, you listen to how the vault works, and then you listen to the updates, and then things will think things should make sense. All right. Hello. How are we doing then? We got New York, we got Australia, we got Kentucky. Where else are we?
I'm over by the Kentucky.
You're close to Kentucky, are you?
Yeah.
Hello, Walt. Good morning. James, serial updates on the vault. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Queensland. I got a great joke about Queensland.
Oh,
It's an England versus Australia joke, so I'll just enjoy it myself. Philippines, Canada, all right. South Australia, New Zealand, nice, nice, nice. All right. Is it about the Ashes? No, no, I don't think I could. I think you're better at us than cricket. All right. Okay, then. So, wow, there seems to be a lot of Australians now. I'll be quiet. Okay, then. So we're going to jump in with David for a couple of minutes, completely ignore these Australians. We'll take any questions that you've got in the chat, and then we'll get to the best Australian in the room, Maurizio, will run us through everything that's happening. So awesome to have you here, David. What's going on in your
absolutely. Yeah. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it on the call last week. I was busy helping run an event. So, but happy to come in and update you this week. This week it's been going. We've been doing really well actually. Well, last Sunday wasn't great, but every day since then has been pretty much on the up and up. A little
Is
bit
there
of
anything
down last
you can share with us
because I had
on the screen
a bunch of stuff.
without?
Say what?
Is there anything you can share on screen with us that doesn't give away anything that you don't want to?
Yeah, let me see what I can take a look at here. Let me get my screen share going here. Let me pull this out. That way I'm not accidentally putting up stuff that I don't have time to double check on. Um, Sorry. Here we are. All right. Let's do that. All right. Can you guys see that? I got a
We can, yeah, awesome.
cool. Well, this is the terminal that I use, and I know it looks a little bit different than Hyperliquid, but this is a little bit more of a fancy trading terminal that I like to use to execute the trades to give me all sorts of nice tools for getting in and out at better prices. So, but yeah, we're looking here. I just finished rotating out of Blast. As you can see, we kind of managed to sell pretty high up here, get out of that one. So we made some good gains. We were buying down here a little bit earlier. That was a great trade we made this week. Paid us plenty of money in funding. Overall, we can kind of scroll through our positions here, and as you look at it, Barra so far right now, drawing down a little bit more than we're getting paid on funding for the moment. A lot of these tend to come back because that's kind of the whole reason why we're doing this thing. Fortcoin, we're about halfway back to where we're to where the little drawdown is taking us there on price. Hype has been fucking crushing it, right? Pardon my language. I need to get better about that. Um, yeah, so Hype is crushing it for us. This one is one that we've been sticking in the portfolio for a while, and I think this is actually this was over 40K just an hour or two ago. Last time I looked at it. In it, another one we're shorting here just to kind of balance out the portfolio because we got a big old Hype position on and a big old Move position on. But these two, Layer and Move, are the ones I'm really excited about right now. So normally I'd be stacking up Layer into a real big size. You see, we got about $154,000 on the Move right now. I'd love to have that much on the Layer, but we just couldn't keep the vault balanced if we do that right now. But these positions right here, you can see just how much funding this has brought in. Overall, this coin alone, I think, has brought in something like 38 grand into the vault in funding. But we closed it, reopened it. Now we're at 15. That's just since like last night or a day and a half ago. So it's keeping pace real well here. I think we're prepping really nicely for a short squeeze to pop up on this thing. Um, just because people can't keep paying us this much money, you know? They're like they're barely making any money keeping their position open. As soon as it pops up just to like right here, they got to get out. And that means that's going to push price up. We're going to make a bunch of money and collect all that funding on the way, right? So these are the kind of trades we love to take. Um, I think layer right here again. We just got in this one earlier today, but beautiful, beautiful chart. I'm sure Maurizio may even talk about this one later. I don't know what he's got on his schedule today, but it's a big one going right now, and it's paying us a ton too. Again, I put this on an hour ago. We're already $70 up just from the funding, and this chart looks up only to me, right? So overall, our positions are doing really well. Here we got some shorts that have been making us some money. This one keeps flip flopping a little bit. This Zora one here, so it's not paying us a whole lot of funding, but it looks like it just wants to drop. So we wanna capture all that downside, right? Because if we're betting against it and it goes down, we like that. It makes a ton of money. So overall, it's been a real good week on the vault. As you can see, we're concentrating some positions, but keeping things pretty well balanced here, and you know, strong and steady, and keep it going. And I think we'll be in good shape here. Make you guys some of that money back that we got slapped in the face with just starting this thing off. So working hard and it's going well.
Nice, yeah. And it's I think one of the things that is can always be tricky is communicating all of that knowledge that's inside of your brain, to somebody that's like, I'm down 58%, David. You're telling me it's up. Why aren't I back up to 100%? It's like people want this kind of instantaneous, just give me the answer. Why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? You're telling me it's going up. And so how can we communicate with people that like, I'm down, I'm down? Like I think what you're saying today is that we're starting, correct me if I'm wrong, we're starting to see those kind of bit of blue sky through the clouds. Like
Yeah.
summer might be here. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
I don't have a way to like say, oh well, this is
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's very frustrating. Obviously, it's frustrating for me too, being the one trading the vault. We came out of the gate, we immediately got smacked down pretty hard. And that sucks for everybody, right? I hate it. You hate it. We're all on the same page there. We don't want to be losing money, right? That just sucks. But we're down lower than we wanted to be, right? We got that big smackdown out the gate, but we're coming back up. We're coming back up. We're sticking with the plan, sticking with the program, and it's paying off. And it's going to take a little bit of time before we get back to where we started from. And once we get there, then we have, like you said, there's blue skies above. So we got smacked down. We're creeping back up. And we just keep that momentum going, keep it going in the right direction, and slow and steady wins the race. So
exactly, yeah. It's like if I always think that poker can be a good way to explain this. Like risk to reward is something that I think a lot of people don't really understand. Like, oh yeah, it's 4-1. But like, yeah, but what does that actually mean? Like, you're not just gonna win the fifth time. You could lose this bet 10
Mhm.
times in a row before your four to
Yeah.
one, before your 4-1 kicks in.
Or
And
even simpler, like you think about like a coin toss, right? You can flip a coin and you might get heads 5 times in a row, right? But that doesn't mean a coin is not 50-50. It's still a 50-50 shot. You just hit that streak where it's like sometimes those probabilities they take some time to play out, right? So you might get those streaks where you get like 5 heads in a row. Sometimes, if you flip a coin long enough, you might get 10, 20 heads in a row. But that doesn't mean it's not a fair coin. You're still going to flip it. You're still going to get the correct odds. And if you just keep doing it, it evens out towards what your expectation of it is going to be, right? Which is that you, on average, are going to get a 50-50. Or in our sense, when we're running this vault, like you said, we have these different ratios and stuff, but the general idea is the same. We keep doing the thing that we know. If we do this a million times in a row, it'll make us money. Now, that doesn't mean every one of those times we do it's going to make us money. Sometimes it's going to lose. And when it loses, like we've seen, it hurts bad. But we can't let the one loss change from the fact that if we keep doing this, it makes money. It's going to keep doing that, and so we're staying the course, man.
absolutely. I'd recommend that everybody just Googles an online coin flipper, sets it to 10,000 flip, and then goes through it and see the amount of times you have tails 50 times in a row, then one head, and then 25 tails. Now, somebody's asking a question, and I think I can answer this. You can obviously correct me, David. Somebody's saying, is this a good time to put money in the vault now? But I think that the way to look at it is we have an expectation from the vault. So there's not a good time or a bad time. We have an expectation that we go after. And
Yep.
the reason or like the reason that we can profit from the vault so much is because it does blow up from time to time. It just happened
Yep.
to blow up when we first got into it. There has to be a downside. It can't just all be up, 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 up. So how would you address if
I would
someone
love
say, can I put money in the vault now? Is it a good time, bad time?
Yeah, I mean, I think you explained it perfectly. Like you said, like what we do as traders, we're not predicting the future, right? We're just doing the thing that we know makes money on average. So I can't tell you that tomorrow is going to be a great day and we're going to make money tomorrow, so you should put money in today. I also can't tell you, wait for a week because tomorrow's going to be a bad day. I don't know. I just know that if I take the right trades and I keep doing it, I can't tell you what that next trade is going to look like. I can just tell you that on average, over time, it's going to make money, right? So, like you said, there's not really a good time or a bad time. Like it just doesn't exist. We're playing for the averages. We're playing for the long haul, and yeah, if you want to be in on that ride, then if that's really the only question is if this is something that you want to be a part of, then it's a great time to put money in the vault, and that will always be the case. And if it's not, then it's a terrible time to put money in the vault, and that will always be the case. Because like I said, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. If I could, I'd be the wealthiest man in the world, right? But I do what I know works over time, and I'm going to keep doing that. So, we're going to make you guys
Absolutely.
your money.
And just as a general sort of observation, when I listen to you talk, David, you're very neutral. This is the game, this is the average. Now, the reason that
Mhm.
I say that is because there's a thing called the gambler's fallacy. And if you get excited about winning, or if you get pissed off about losing, then you're a gambler. And that
And
really,
yeah,
because nobody wants to think of themselves as a gambler. But the gambler's fallacy is you get excited when you win and you get pissed off when you lose. So if we go back to poker, okay, the reason that so many new people fail at poker is because let's say they get dealt pocket aces. I've got pocket aces, I've won. And they don't care about the rest of the cards that come out. They don't care about how anybody else is betting. It doesn't matter. I've got pocket aces, the best stuff. Oh, oh, I've lost. How did that happen? They're
oh
blind.
no, those two other kings showed up on the board, and all of a sudden,
Exactly,
so
you
got
see. So
tricked. Yep.
it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of to do with trading that's just about self-regulation. And that gambler's fallacy is one, and the other one is if you've got too much money involved in something. If you've got too much money on the line and you can't sleep at night, then you're just going to be in that like, oh my God. And then you start searching for things to validate how you're feeling. Well, there's the tariffs, there's this meeting, there's that thing that's going to happen. Oh, I want to get out of the vault. And then you leave and you're like, I lost money and it was no good.
Yep.
But then the other people that just, okay, this is just one play in crypto that we're doing. It's just one play. And I'm just going to let it ride out and then see what happens at the end from there. And I know that's not easy. I know that's not easy. I read the
Not easy for me either. You know, I'll tell you guys, and I'll be completely real. James or not James, Scott and I hopped on a call. He's like, man, you got hammered like right off the gate. He's like, how are you doing? Because that is such an important part of it is managing your emotions. Because if I'm emotional, if I'm overly excited because we had a great day, or if I'm just super depressed because we had a terrible day or a terrible week or whatever, I'm not going to be at my best decision making, right? I'm going to be reacting to how I feel, not how the market is actually behaving. And I'm making decisions based on trying to make myself feel better instead of making the smart decision and just doing what we know the system tells us we should be doing and what we know it works, right? And Scott took the time, to hop on a call with me when we were having that bad week, and he was like, "Listen, man, I know it's not easy for you to be running this thing at this year. Like, let's make sure you get your head on straight. And so that was very, very helpful to me, and it's a really, really big part of doing this, especially if you're going to do it for a living. But
Mm.
fortunately for you guys, this is not something you have to do for a living because of these gentlemen here and the things that we try to offer to you guys. So we can be the ones that are like, okay, nope, deal with those emotions. That way, hopefully, it's a little bit easier on some of the rest of you guys.
Yeah, it really is. Like there's a really interesting thing from Jim. I haven't got a second name, just Jim, you know. So it's like Jim says that he's down $10,000. Now, $10,000 means different things to different people, you know. Scott could spend $10,000 on lunch on a single bottle of wine. It means nothing to him, you know. Jeff Bezos, what does $10,000 mean to him? Do you know what I mean? To somebody else, they may never have had $10,000 in their life, you know. So Jim's saying, David, any sense as to how long it will take to get back to break even? So it's like I think that I think that David's already explained that, and I think the key thing is that we can't predict the future. If we could predict the future, then well, yeah, we'd all be billionaires. So the question is that $10,000 causing you sleepless nights? And if it is causing you sleepless nights, then you are not a person that could wager $10,000 on crypto.
Mm.
And these are big learning lessons, you know? It's like the money that I've got in the vault, I've got my money in the vault. I've lost money like everybody else, but I don't care because I'm just like, right, there's the money that I'm going to put in the vault. Oh, look at that, took it in the face. Oh, well, let's see what happens later on, you know? It's like it really doesn't bother me. And that's risk management, you know? And Scott will tell you the best risk management is the one that you'll actually do. So when
Mm.
it comes to putting money into things, it's how much money can I put in and still get a good sleep at night?
Mm.
That's the kind of key thing. So I hear you, Jim. I do, but there's you're looking for something that we can't give you, you know? Like David won't be able to say in 21 days will be, and then in 30 will be, you know, it's all about the average over time and the expectancy. And there is a really good video on this inside the vault. It's about 45 minutes long, and I'd really have a good look at it. And the other one is if you search in the hub for Itamar and mindset, then you've got
Mm.
Scott's coach Itamar Marani that did a session like on mindset specifically for uh, traders. Okay, so we got a different Jim then. So David, it seems that you have people already investing in your group. Yeah, I'm still waiting to get some info from you to start. Um, Not quite sure what you mean there, Jim. If you mean that you've bought the vault but you haven't put any money in, then you need to deal with support, Jim, because when you buy the product, you get sent a welcome email. The welcome email explains what to do. You join the group, and then you would be in the hub. Uh, Hey Jim, I know it's impossible to predict. I made it clear that I was not asking for a promise, just to say, yeah, but Jim, like, what's just the sense, Jim? This is the thing. Like, you are asking for it, Jim. You're just in denial that you're asking for it. You know, I'm not asking you to tell me when. I'm just wondering if you could kind of, sort of, maybe give me a hint of when. It's the same question.
Mm.
The
The
best
thing.
answer I can give you is it will be as soon as I am physically capable of making that amount of money, right? because I don't know what the market's going to do. I'm going to take the best advantage of what the market gives us as far as opportunities go. We were looking at it. I told you, like, when we were looking at the positions, we're stacking up on a couple positions because they're really, really great opportunities to have on right now. And that's been part of what's been driving the last couple of days of wins, and that's been awesome. Sometimes we just don't have that. Sometimes you look at the market and we get all of our data and everything, and we're like, there's nothing really like that we don't want to just like cram money into things until until it makes sense to be there. And so the best answer I can give you is we will be back to break even and far above that as absolutely quickly as I can make that happen. But I can't force a market to move. If I could, again, I'd be a billionaire already. So
absolutely. And it's like one last sort of poker analogy from me. Another reason that new players that we could call new traders fail is because they cannot fold. They cannot fold a hand, especially if they think it's a good hand, they cannot fold it. So a guy like David, who's in that neutral position, he's not doing something to make himself happy. And he's also not doing something to sabotage himself, because it is easy to sabotage yourself. And I'm speaking specifically about poker here. You can be playing poker and thinking, oh, everything's against me. It's not, I'm going to call this just to prove that I've lost. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it, that hand. This is daft shit that people do. So what David is doing is he's the guy that's like, okay, what needs to be done today? And that's what David is doing for us, and that's why he gets all the stress, all the sleepless nights, and everybody pointing the finger at you.
No, but I mean, that's part of the job. It is part of what I love to do, but it's definitely not for everybody. And it's taken me many years of practice to get to the point of being able to manage myself to be able to do this. So,
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
that's wonderful. I mean, we've given this a good 20 odd minutes. So I think that we've pretty much covered the vault. So I'll thank you once again, David. Feel free to jump off or hang around, whatever's on with you, my friend. And we'll seg into Maurizio.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
for having me on, guys.
Thanks, Dave. And by the way, Ian, you put it like, I cannot actually stress enough what you said again. How much money are you willing to invest in every single sort of system, either crypto or FinRev or trading or spot or whatever you do, you have to, you know what I mean? That's why we have different sort of portfolios, right? We have the spot, we have trading, because they all have different strategies, they all have different risks. And if you don't know your risks, then obviously you may put everything in one single basket, and it could pay off, but it could be risky. So as long as you understand that you getting that, like, if you over allocate into a system, then obviously you need to understand that you're over allocating. Or if you over allocate depending on your income, depending on your savings, you bet in the house or whatever. So that's gambling in a way. That's not proper risk management. So obviously we can talk about risk management probably next week, just to make sure that you guys are okay with. But then I cannot actually stress that enough. For everything that you do in crypto, like with us, with anyone, right? Make sure that you understand that. Okay. So with that being said, let's jump into the market. How do you guys feel about the market this week? Or last week was pretty good, isn't it? Wasn't it? Like, just give me your thoughts. Slow. Let's go through. Let me just share my screen. You guys see my screen now?
We can, yeah.
All right, beautiful. All right, cool. So let's start with Bitcoin. Okay, we were talking about Bitcoin the whole week, last week. Why? Because let's reiterate this huge area here, which is a huge resistance level. Like we noticed that from February all the way up to all February, price wasn't actually able to break this level here, and we came back from there. So I was sort of expecting a little bit of a pullback. How much of the pullback? That's the question, right? Is that going to be enough for people to start buying here? And then obviously we just do this. Oh, where's my brush? I need to get better with this brush thing. Okay. Like that, or is this going to continue pulling back to perhaps this area, do something like this, and we could do this, or we could flatline right here. So let's talk about possibilities. Okay. So how many of you think that this right now, the price that we are going to bounce and take up probably at least to the same highs or break up to new highs? Let's talk about those two options. Hey, Paul, what's up, man? Nope, lower. All right. Anyone else? Go to 23.6 first. Okay. All right. So in terms of possibilities, where am I, right? This is kind of really hard to sort of pinpoint, and here's the reason why. Unless there is inflows of volume, right? People buying Bitcoin or ETFs, right? Then we will not have that juice to the upside. Okay, so what we have to ask ourselves is, are we thinking that institutions will buy up to this price? Now, from the price perspective, right, that's one thing. But if something happens this week that gives another catalyst of Bitcoin, then that's another story. So obviously like what I'm trying to say is we don't know how much the pullback will look like unless we have to play it by ear, technically week by week, right? Because let's say this week comes up very big news in terms of Bitcoin, the reserve, or whatever, right? Then perhaps that could be seen as catalyst. Then the pullback is sort of over, right? That's one thing. Now, let's imagine the other possibility that this week we have no developments, right? And then what technically can happen if we have no developments, no news, no anything, is that usually price moves to levels that we're seeing on the screen, right? So that's kind of the intricacy of trading. That doesn't mean it has to go back here, goes to back here. We have the levels, just as the guidelines, but what that means is the price may not even reach there, never. Or maybe it just comes back to this level that everybody's expecting to rebuy, 92,000, right? And then continues coming back down to 86, give or take, all right? Can that happen? Of course, right? So that's kind of long-term, the hardest, one of the biggest issues on trading, or not issues, is that's kind of the game that you're playing. Short term is a different story. We did talk about a little bit of scalping last week. I might give you a little bit of something at the end of the call, but that's where I'm at. So I'm kind of biased, right? So I'm kind of like 30% each, right? I don't have any bias whatsoever at this range. What I do know though is that if Bitcoin maintains this level here, right, then this is going to be very good for alts. Okay, if we see Bitcoin maintaining this level and alts not falling, then we can actually expect a little bit of upside on altcoins and things like that. We already seen a bunch of stuff going up on alts. So, but this is kind of my take where we at. We did have a pullback. Yeah, I was expecting a pullback. The problem is I don't know how big of a pullback are we going to have, right? And this is just as a perceived value of people buying or selling Bitcoin, right? Do you think Bitcoin or traders are seeing the 94 is cheap or is expensive? You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to gauge with the price action movement that what we have here. On the positive note, though, so that's for me saying that I'm kind of unranging here. I'm expecting to see any developments in terms of news this week. There is some news about There is some news about this one, an update, the Genius Act, outlining a regulatory framework for payment stablecoins that might be affect stablecoins and things. I'm watching INA, by the way, just on that. This is the only sort of news that I'm tracking so far, which it could look like good news, right, for crypto as a whole, okay? So besides that, okay, let me just get rid of this. 1 second. All right, so last week we did have a really interesting candle, which is the monthly candle close. I did talk about that one. So that happened on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday, Monday, the month closed, right? So we opened on May. Now, this candle actually opened above the yearly open. So that's actually pretty bullish technically, right? That doesn't mean we're going to just start hammering for the next month. We still have the whole month. Can we at least pull back to this area around here? Yeah, that's completely possible. Around the 90,000 from the higher perspective, right? So I'm always keeping an eye on the higher time frames, right? But high time frames looks pretty solid, right? Monthly close pretty solid. If we go into the weekly aspect of it, okay? Weekly, we just closed the week just now, probably about half an hour ago. So this candle just closed. It did manage to close above the yearly open, which is still pretty good. And now this morning today started a little bit of a positive curve, which is basically what we want to see, right? But now the question is, how far of a pullback are we going to have, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. If we look at the open interest, right? Open interest looks pretty reset now. And let me just get this on the 30 minutes. All right, so this is the 30 minutes, this is the 4-hour. We just open up the 4-hour. So I'll give you a better view here. So 4-hour, obviously we're looking at these levels here, okay? The interesting thing is this level seems to be that people are front running it. So because we're not hitting the same lows, and usually that's the strength of trend to the upside. Now, is this going to be handled like that? It looks good. Like so far, everything looks good. We'll expect to see any inflows of what's going on when Monday opens in the US, right? So yeah, that's where I'm at. We see a bunch of liquidations to the downside, obviously. We don't have enough volume over the weekend to actually sustain the price. I was sort of expecting that. So that's good. That's actually pretty good. So I'm just now searching for pullbacks to buy interesting coins. That's basically, in essence, what I want to highlight, right? I'm still bullish. I'm expecting pullbacks. So I'm just trying to time the pullbacks, right? So we can actually give it better entries on alts if we have continuations to the upside. Okay, that's kind of in summary what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, let me just open the chart. Give me 1 second. All right. So with that being said, okay, another one that you guys already know that I track like religiously is the CBD spot. Okay, so what I'm noticing here is this a good level for people, for spot buyers to start buying? We'll see. We don't know. No one knows, right? So we'll see how market opens. What is the reaction? I do think we have a highly likelihood that this could actually range, even actually retest to 100,000. And the reason why is because we have S&P 500. We have a very positive close last week, right, of the S&P 500. So this is actually pretty positive. It's closing above the 200 EMA. That actually, it looks like it bottomed, right? Like it looks like a V-shaped sort of recovery. So it looks good. If you look at the majors, like NVIDIA, NVIDIA is actually climbing up there, but it's not doing that great. Tesla is actually recovering quite a bit, despite what's going on with the news and stuff like that. And Google is sort of tracking the same thing. This is kind of the majors, you know, in terms of technology. So it looks okay for Bitcoin to at least bounce to the 100,000 range. Is that going to be enough to break, at least to give us the highest high that we have ever been in Bitcoin? Is around 109. So will that just will be enough? Give me your thoughts. What you guys think, right? Do you guys are going to hit in the next couple of weeks, going to hit a 109, or are we going to even actually break the new highs? What you guys think? Just let me know your thoughts. Because a lot of people expecting pullbacks, right? And this is another thing that it could surprise us, right? We never get the pullback, the high enough expected pullback that everyone's expecting, and then price actually just runs and keeps going and keeps going. Okay, so can that be a possibility? Of course, right? Right. Break around October, next higher. Right. Okay, so we are we have different ranges, right? Different ranges. So besides that, it looks good, right? In essence. So I'll start getting worried if we start seeing Bitcoin trading below 80, 88, you know what I mean? And even though it's still sort of you know, high time frame sort of bullish rejection sort of deal. So we can actually see price doing like this, and then up in this area right here, which is the 86 level, you know, start coming back up like that. Can that happen? Of course. So it's going to be very interesting what happens this week. We just had a massive, not massive, but we have a kind of a healthy pullback across the board. So if we look at total 3, right? Yeah, Paul, 86. A lot of people are waiting for the 86 level. Me too, though. Me too. That could be a really interesting that could be an interesting level to start bidding, right? Bidding heavily if we get there. That's the same thing. If we get to 86, I will expect alts. Let's see what alts actually hold its value. And those are the ones that I will want to start buying heavily if we have that pullback. So that's a really interesting thesis. So if, let's say, Bitcoin gets to 86, right, and we actually find that 86 comes back and actually start rising, what I'll be tracking at the 86 level is which alts have maintained relative strength. And those could be the really juicy ones to actually get into. Okay, so this is going to be a very, very interesting level if we get to that level. Okay, so Apple, thanks, man. Okay, what are the settings of the M graph at the bottom? Which M graph, mate? I don't know. All right, let's move on and let me just delete all that. Okay, so all right, so let's jump into alts and what I'm saying. So alts. So alts basically, right? We still like the whole total 3. We're between this box. You know, we drew this box a while back. Okay. It looks good, right? It looks like a bottoming structure. It looks pretty good. It actually break this upward structure, so it looks pretty good to start bidding on strong coins, technically, right? I actually start buying a few coins. So we'll go into those ones as well. But Jim, graph setting at the bottom. Are you talking about this indicator here, the one that I'm highlighting? All right, this is an ATR. This is an ATR, just a regular ATR. You know, if you search on indicators, right? Is ATR is the default ones, which is 14. So essentially, if you think of it from the perspective, it's just the average true range of the last 14 days, you know, because I'm seeing on a daily. So that's kind of what I'm tracking. And usually, and this is just something that when volatility breaks, right, towards the volatility, usually if volatility start breaking to the upside, or then that's when we want to start betting heavy. So yeah, that's this is the indicator that I follow on a daily basis, and it's just the guideline, right? And just to see where volatility is at, right? But the interesting thing is volatility keeps coming low and lower every, like Bitcoin. Let's have a look. Yep. So volatility, right? It started going nuts here on the day that actually broke everything up to the upside, and it keeps coming down. So this is actually a good sign that the market is accepting these levels and resetting, right? So if you look at here, let me show you, for instance, see this area here, that's the, the period of December all the way up to Feb. Have a look at the volatility. So increasing volatility, right? It means a lot of people buying and selling, right? Now, decreasing volatility means depends on where the price is at the moment, right? Like you have to mix the volatility with the price action. Is that it looks like it's accepting the price. Not sellers are coming in heavily, so volatility is coming down, and if this starts sort of breaking up and price moving up, right? Then they'll start getting some profits and things like that. That's when you actually know that we could break up to the upside. So that's why I'm excited. Okay, that this is how you could read this indicator, by the way. Okay, so yeah, I like it. That doesn't mean it needs to happen. Let's why, and this is kind of the intricacies of indicators. The indicators is not a holy grail. It's how you read it. How do you read the indicator with the price action is how good of a trader you could be, right? Let's imagine that the indicator starts coming up and prices starts coming down heavily, okay? Then I will expect a little bit more pullback, right? Because volatility is actually going to the other direction, okay? So well, look, it's looking good, but this could actually change tomorrow or the day after. That's why it's really hard to be a trader, man. Anyway, coming back to Total Tree is doing exactly the same thing in terms of volatility and things. So I really like it. I really like the structure, even though we, a lot of resistance here. But the interesting aspect here is that if we are able to break this level, then I will expect a massive, a lot of short squeezes happening, at least to this level here. That's going to be huge, at least here, definitely. Are we going to get all-time highs? Don't know yet. We'll find out when we get here. But that's when we want to start getting some really good leverage trades and things like that, right? So tracking this one closely. Been tracking Ethereum, right? Ethereum for a while. Let me just. So Ethereum, it looks pretty good, man. It looks pretty good, to be honest. Like same thing. You can actually start seeing the pattern, right? You have seen lower volatility. Price hasn't been able to actually break these lows. It seems like people are accepting that the 1800 could be the pullback. So that's why I haven't exited the LDO trade yet. Even though we're gonna go through a few of the trades that we took last week, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. The downside of Mondays usually set the tone for the week, right? So if we are very bullish, right, usually Mondays that just have continuation, but we have now a little bit of a retracement, and Monday usually sets the tone, and then towards Wednesday, then people then understand that if this is going to be holding. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Or if I see a sharp reaction to the upside, maybe I just start buying. I already start buying spot, which is very the one that you want to hold for at least a couple months, so that's where we at, and that's where I'm at in terms of Ethereum. So I really like it. So I'm based on this, I'm watching all the Ethereum betas, either Pepe or Pendle or LDO, a bunch of stuff that you could actually go pretty nuts when Ethereum actually breaks this level here. Okay, so yeah, I really like that one. I really like that one. Yeah, invest head and shoulders in total three. Yeah, it's one of those things about the patterns, right? I'd rather trade with the levels, right? Because obviously the levels and depends on conditions is if we have, being from the perspective, if we have actually tomorrow or the next couple of days, reclaiming on these levels, there is a highly likelihood that we have continuations to the upside, right? Because that's just what people are perceiving at the moment. Okay, and so yeah, that's where I'm at in terms of that. Solana, yes, pretty much everything is doing the same, but Solana looks pretty strong, like pretty strong, to be completely honest. So I see definitely Solana trading in the next couple of probably weeks, maybe, towards this area, the 181. So that could be an interesting long if if you're not in it already, then you can start buying Solana, definitely. We already are. We bought out 95 a while back, and I might add again, but yeah, that's kind of where we are. The one that I'm tracking here is Ethereum against Bitcoin. Okay, so so for those ones, for the people that doesn't know, Ethereum against Bitcoin measures the strength. Which one is stronger, Ethereum or Bitcoin? Okay, so at this moment, because we have trending down, what that means is Bitcoin is actually stronger than Ethereum, but it looks like it's bottoming here. Okay, so it looks like you can actually see that it's a lot of effort, right, to drive Ethereum to make this the bottom of the Ethereum weakness, right? So that's kind of why I'm excited on Ethereum and Ethereum betas, right? Because it looks like if this starts breaking to the upside, what that means is that Ethereum, right? Ethereum now is sort of going to be a little bit stronger, like at least targeting to mean reversion sort of deal here. And on the back of this, that doesn't mean that if this chart, Ethereum against Bitcoin, starts going up, that doesn't mean that Ethereum is going ballistic to the upside. That means that you could have both Ethereum and Bitcoin coming down, and this could actually be up as well. Why? Because it's just the strength between those two, okay, that I'm tracking with this one here. So we could see same low volatility here, very likelihood to start breaking to the upside. So that, you know what I mean? Like I keep saying this, that could be a cool explosion to the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm excited on the Ethereum and Ethereum betas. Okay, so it's same thing with Solana and ETH, right? So Solana and ETH, technically the other way around, sort of topping up here. So if we have ETH coming down, Solana ETH coming down, ETH coming up, definitely Ethereum is going to give us a little bit of a push to the upside. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm tracking here. So with that being said, things that we're tracking closely, okay, I'm tracking obviously LDO. So LDO, we are in a trade already. I'm still going to leave it, even though, I wanted to close this one if we broke below this level, but it still looks pretty, volatile. So LDO is actually, the odds are on the favor that if ETH breaks up, then ETH LDO at least could go to mean reversion, right? So that's a five risk reward. If you haven't entered this one, then you could enter a better price. But we're still on this trade. Another one that we are on this trade is Cent. By the way, Cent we bought spot, but I did mention to actually put my stop loss on the leverage trade. So essentially, I'm not in a trade longer in Cent, but we're still holding spot. So what I'm seeing at the moment is that we have a lot of these ones that I want to enter on pullbacks. Why? Because previously it has been very strong. Aura is one that it hasn't been strong lately, but it looks like it's bottoming, and on the back of a lot of platforms actually open, like, you start getting new platforms like Hyperliquid opening, which are using the Aura order flow sort of technology. So I'm watching this one closely, right, to start buying on spot on this one. And from the AI perspective, so we have AI 16. So AI 16, I was watching for pullbacks. I don't think we're going to get that far of pullback. This seems to be that it was the pullback that we got. That was actually, this is a pretty interesting pullback. We might get a little bit down, so I'll be tracking this one. We might enter on the spot on this one. So as you said, yeah, this is the one that I'm most interested. And obviously Sui is actually having very healthy pullback here. Let's see how the price reacts here. And Cent, obviously Cent is going to be really, really strong. So we have this one spots, by the way. I might add more, right, on these levels, but if we start sort of losing strength on Sui, definitely I want to get out of Cent, because it could actually get lower, definitely lower. Depends on Sui. This is a very small market cap coin, so obviously that's the risk. You know what I mean? That we can actually, if markets sort of bottoms at, this is the pullback this week, then definitely going to keep Cent. Okay. Another one that I'm tracking is all the AI stuff, by the way. AI XPT, virtuals, right? They're pretty strong. But then in terms of virtuals, I'm still tracking how much. Let me just load it here. Because virtual went nuts, and it looks like it doesn't want to pull back. So I'm tracking this one. The only downside of virtuals is that in terms of the fundamentals, I don't see a lot of people using it. So this could be a massive squeeze, and actually could go down still. So this is not the one that I could be, usage come back tomorrow, and then this go to all-time high. So I'll be tracking this one. But in terms of usage, I'm seeing AI 16 said a lot of people using the new platforms. They launch a new out of fund or something like that to launch AI agents and things like that. So I think this could actually catch some narrative and start getting to the upside here, at least, 2-1, right? Are we going to get all-time highs? Maybe. Let's see. But, that's kind of what we're trying to position on this one. So besides that, I have nothing else, guys. This is the stuff that I'm tracking close, so we can actually start getting into some positions as well. Or let me talk about Neil as well. Neil took a little bit of a pullback. I might add more, definitely, but it's holding the level that the validation level. It seems like this is slowly but surely, right? It seems like the only downside of Neil is that there is a lot of resistance, and this is a coin that is being airdropped, so a lot of people haven't sold these coins yet. So you might see a lot of volatility on this one, but from the spot perspective, I don't care. I want to hold this one. Okay. Let's have a look at Tau. Yeah, Tau. Where are you? What here? There you go. Tau. Okay. Tau is actually looking pretty good. It's holding these levels here, as you can see. So the fact that this has been the leading AI coin for the last couple of weeks, right? Since April, since Bitcoin hit the bottom, technically, right? Obviously, this is the one that is actually giving us a really, really good sort of outlook in terms of the AI. So we're talking about 105%. So it looks pretty good. I really like Tau, right? I have an alert here at these levels, right? 302. If I get to the 300 level, I'll definitely go nuts and buy this one. Start buying the spot. By the way, can we You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the level that I'm tracking, right? Because we might clear some liquidity areas in here, but we might not even get here, right? So I'm gonna be tracking this, depends on how Bitcoin reacts this week. So yeah, that's kind of where we at. If we have Sigma Retario, oof, that's meme stuff. Let's have a look at Retario. Well, haven't seen Retario for a while back, you know what I mean? This is a meme. So one of the higher risks, higher rewards. That's Retario. Is that even, yeah. Let's have a look at Retario where we are, technically speaking. But then obviously, you know, don't mind, like Retario from the technical charting is like, you know, I don't follow much, because obviously all these small caps meme stuff could actually just go ballistic at any given time, right? If market pops up, if market picks up, right? Like if all else picks up, more than likely this is going to start picking up. Okay, this is the chart from Mexi, by the way. So I don't have any more history, but it looks now that is bottoming. If you look at the same structure that happens, have a look at this. Have a look at the structure here, right? And let me show you the structure of Altcoin, okay? And this is the one that I was watching. So have a look at the structure. We have a deviation. So at any given moment, this could actually start doing like this, right? If market starts picking up, there is a highly likelihood that this one could do something like that, right? Let me just show you Altcoin. It's a really great pattern. So check this out. All right, see the similarity in terms of patterns, right? So obviously this is a very common pattern in crypto, especially with what used to be a strong, and Retario used to be pretty strong, right? So unfortunately I missed this, right? Unfortunately I missed this area, because that's the one that you want to get. You know, you go at the area, you get the deviation, you get, you know, sort of a pullback, the market starts getting up, and then you might capitalize on this, right? Same thing on Retario, on Retario. Actually, I should be looking at Retario maybe to add more in my position on Retario. Where are you? Retario Mexi, this one. Yep. Have a look. See? So that doesn't mean that this is going to do this, but if we start going strong, right, and memes, especially if Solana and all the meme stuff start picking up, there is a highly likelihood that, because Retario was very strong before, it might start coming up. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the same behavior. So technically it looks pretty good, man. It looks pretty good. I like it. Right. Okay, Todd, do you have a chart of volume in the crypto market since the beginning of the year? Volume. Good question. Yes, I do. Give me 1 second. So the problem with volume is that volume has been sort of a scatter, okay, across altcoins and new launches and things like that. So you could actually take total 3. Where are you? But that's a good one. I find that really good, because that's a pretty interesting chart to look into it. But if you have total 3 and you add the volume, right? This is kind of gives the perhaps the volume across. Sorry. To get better with this. Okay. So volume was very huge on November, right here, obviously when we started. Now we definitely have a decline in volume here, right? And we might see that if we start getting up from the same volumes that we have here, right, at that level, then we might start getting very, very excited, right? And that excitement could last a couple of months. Who knows, right? Depends on when volumes start getting down. So that, but I'll find a better chart for you, man. Yeah, I know where you're heading with that. So yeah, Cool. So I think that's it, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have much more. I say that I was going to do some scalping stuff. I think we'll leave it for next week. But yeah,
Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous, Maurizio. Thank you very much. Maybe we should put Coach Paul Candian on just to tell us what's going to happen in crypto exactly in the next week. Coach Paul, come on and tell me. I want to make $1 million by Friday.
What I can tell you is the only guarantee in crypto is there is no guarantee, Ian.
man, this is like this is
It's
great,
a
man.
slippery
Give me a
fish.
lot of insight. Give me a lot of insight.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I'm in 2 shorts on Bitcoin at the moment. I shorted at 97,633. I did I left a limit overnight and set it, and then when I got up the next morning, it was moving in my direction. So I took another smaller position at 96.83. So they're all in healthy profit at the moment. But this daily open is giving me a little bit of it's making my ears prick up a little bit as to whether I should close them out and just get a little bit more confirmation. But they're in a healthy profit, so yeah. But it's that precarious spot, right? We're at that point where structure broke down to the downside. So it was a big move down, you know. So it's I think if we get above it, we retest and we go up, but there's just every chance that it could just melt away to come back down at least into the mid 80s before it sort of gives us some other kind of confirmation whether it's going to keep going down or up. So it's in a real difficult spot at the moment, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's very hard to have too much confirmation, but I'm happy with the short position I'm in because I got in right at that point where, you know, if my stop loss gets hit on these shorts, I'm completely wrong and it's going the opposite way. So I feel comfortable sitting in there on them at the moment. So I've moved all my stops so I won't lose what I've put up. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take some profits, man. Easy. Whenever you don't know, just take half and then that's it. Move the stop loss and be happy.
Yeah, totally.
Great short, man. Great short. Great short. Great short.
Thank you.
Paul hasn't got his video on because he actually trades naked.
I don't want to see, man. Just with that picture, I don't even want to.
You're not too wrong at the moment because I was just sitting in the background doing some work, Ian. So this is why I do have my camera off at the moment. You wouldn't want to see me at the moment.
I thought you were going to say in the bath.
Did that come out of my mouth? Did it?
All right then. See you all next week. I'll see you in 2 minutes, Maurizio. Ta-da,
All right,
everyone.
guys.
Great call.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.